Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fringe North podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. I'm Caitlin Townsend. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the festival coordinator for this year. I have with me today Andrew and Christine. Do you both want to take some time to introduce yourself and just share a bit about your submission for the festival this year?
Yes, thank you so much for having us. My name is Christine Fraser, and I am the creator, producer, director, artistic director of We All Shine Productions.
And I'm Andrew Pawarroo. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am the, let's say, assistant producer and other things of We All Shine Productions. And the show that we've put together for Fringe North is called Is It Written in the Stars? And it is a collection of artistic presentations, including 3 one-act plays, as well as 2 presentations, one being a song, a live acoustic performance by singer-songwriter Matthew James, as well as a comedic stand-up bit by Vanessa Padon. I think I've got that name right. I've never said it out loud. I'm not going to lie to you.
That sounds really exciting. So it pulls on a couple different genres then, from what I'm hearing.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So how did each of you first get involved in the arts?
Oh boy, I think I kind of came out singing and acting, and my parents always said I had a flair for the dramatic. And I was singing probably before I could talk. So I was always interested in creativity and performing from a very, very young age, and then just continued on with it as I continued through school. And
Oh, that's wonderful. How about you, Andrew?
I came out incredibly shy. And then I don't know what happened there. Some lightning bolt struck me when I got involved with music in like elementary school, playing the flute. I don't play it anymore because I was told I'm bad. No, I wasn't. But in terms of at least theater, that was a really, really passionate couple of high school drama teachers, Miss Williamson and Miss Mackay, that really started me out on that kind of journey. And I haven't stopped yet.
Yeah, so a lot of influence from your youth then for both of you then.
Oh, absolutely.
It's awesome. Awesome to hear. So can you tell us a little bit more about your company and your company's story? It's called We All Shine Productions, correct?
yes, that's right. So it all started with a group of us were getting together and doing, play readings and things like that at the beginning of the pandemic to try and keep creative, to try and continue to do what we loved. And that was, okay for a while. And then it's sort of like, oh, we're just getting together and reading the same thing every week, or different plays every week. Andrew was lucky enough to be cast in The Show Must Go Online, and watching him and seeing the things that The Show Must Go Online was doing, I kept going, oh, that's cool. Look how they did that. So we started to see that you can actually put on a theatrical production online and actually make it look more than just here we are reading our scripts together. So that really inspired me to try and see if it was something that we could look into ourselves. So I asked Andrew, I said, okay, tell me some of the backstage stuff. What did you see go on? And is this something that we can put together? And we had that discussion, decided maybe we could. I'm a great ideas person, and I will have ideas forever and not actually get into action. So I gave myself a deadline. We were coming up to Christmas. And I said, if I can find 2 shows that are in the public domain or that are free that I can do for a reasonable amount of money, then we'll do a Christmas show and that'll get us started. But I gave myself 1 day to read plays and find these plays. And very quickly, within a couple of hours, I had found 2 short plays. I had come up with a concept, we had a theme, and we ran with it. And our theme was Christmas wine and cheese because they were all cheesy shows. And from there, we just developed this idea. We really like this theme idea of having a variety of plays on a theme. So we started to work with that and then look at to group plays into themes and then bring in other artistic performances also on those themes. So we might have a song that goes along with the theme. So we've had themes on mental health. We've had themes on different perspectives on sex. We've had one of our themes was on reunion and being reunited. So that's sort of what we just morphed into it naturally. It wasn't our plan. We just sort of ended up here where we like, hey, doing these short little plays and showing a drama and a comedy and, maybe a comedy bit or maybe a sketch comic bit or a song. We've had fire dancers, performances in past productions. So it just kind of developed and morphed into that organically.
That's great to hear. Yeah, so it kind of birthed out of the pandemic and was a result of our current environment then, which is really unique and exciting to see things. Like I feel like with the pandemic, we can get so caught up in sort of the negative and what we're missing out on, that to see hope uh, form in the midst of the pandemic is always really exciting.
Oh, absolutely. And it just kind of goes to show like how creatives can't really be stopped by anything.
Yeah, yeah, for
It
sure.
was it was just we'll find a way. And that's kind of like, again, as Christine mentioned, what the show on Most Go Online did and kind of how we came about. It was a lot of creatives going, let's try something, which is
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah, and for you, Andrew, in particular, because you were involved very early on with the online world, and then like learning how to do it, what have you seen shift with that progress? And um, is there anything that you learned from those early days, I guess, that have really helped this company as it's been birthed sort of after that?
Ooh, what have I learned in the early days? See, a lot of what I had learned came from the show must go online, and I kind of joined that process really late into its production. For those who aren't familiar with the show must go online, they basically did once a week. They did a Shakespeare show and went through chronologically the entire first folio of Shakespeare, one all over Zoom, all globally produced. And I joined that on really late. So by the time I got there, it was a lot of stuff that they had figured out. But in terms of the evolution and how We All Shine starts to like develop and build, it really was a lot of experimentation and figuring out, okay, so we have a set box that we can work in. We have what we use is Zoom.
Mhm.
And how can we go about figuring out different softwares or techniques that we can use to make it look more like a stage production? And a lot of that process came just like, hmm, all right, we can move stuff. All right. And then it's the evolution of going, all right, now that we can move stuff, can we make stuff look different? Oh, yes, we can do that. Okay, now can we insert videos here? Oh, yes, we can do that. It's a lot of like incorporation, I find,
Mhm.
that really helped like a Zoom theater production or a digital theater production grow, was the idea that things can be incorporated, things can be added, things can be changed, and things can be played with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think so much of that, like, play and having different unique approaches, like, I've loved to see artists always are able to look at, like, one thing and everyone kind of views it, like, in the box that it's in, and artists are so good at taking it outside of the box in terms of, "Well, we could use it this way," and seeing those the different utilizations of the media that we have.
Oh, incredible! Like, absolutely. So, one of the best pieces of advice that I credit to one of the artists I worked with the show must go online, named Michelle Kelly, but it could have been somebody else, is don't be afraid to play. And that's, I
Mm,
think, what we do as a company. We All Shine Production is goes to like the artists and go, we have our ideas, but you guys are all artistic, and you guys all have your own unique perspectives. And that's what I think we pride ourselves on, is that everybody kind of has a part in it, and we are more than happy to allow people to go, I have an idea, let's try it like this.
mhm.
And that's a really fun part about it.
Oh,
Some of our best ideas have come out of that. Like some of our artists have brought to us these really amazing ways to show physicality that we maybe didn't think of. And some of our best bits, I think, have come out of allowing the artists to that flexibility to share and experiment.
oh, that's amazing to hear and really exciting, and just the process of doing things like so collaboratively and together and learning from one another. I think that's so important, such an important piece of the artistic community when we do that.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of looking back over your whole process of starting in the arts very young for both of you, and how that's unfolded, who has influenced you as artists?
In artists in general, or with our like digital ventures?
Oh, let's say both. So let's start with in general, like what drew you to the space? Was there anybody in your life who you kind of saw doing things that you were like, oh, that I can, it's possible for me because it's possible for them, those pieces, or yeah.
Christine, do you have anything off the top of my head? Because I also got to process that one.
I mean, I can't personally, I don't, I can't say that I can attribute any one person to be an influence for me. I love to learn. I am a lifelong learner. I will always learn, and I'm always open to learning. So I've taken a little snippet from everybody I've ever worked with, good or bad, whether it's something I want to do or something I don't want to do.
Mhm.
That's just what I do. So I don't have one influence. I think that all of my experiences have influenced who I am as an artist. When it comes down to us as a company, we keep going back to the show must go online, but really without Andrew having done a show with them and me going, wow, maybe we can do that, we wouldn't be here today. So I can't not mention them, given that I think that this wouldn't be here without them. Other companies that we've worked with, Andrew and I both have done a lot of virtual theater with other companies. So we've got to see how they do things. We've got to take some of their ideas and run with those and make our productions better as a result. So I would say that looking at other companies and working with other companies has also been a big influence for us.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah. Again, it's that like collaboration piece of like bringing a little piece of everyone into who you are as an artist.
Absolutely. I echo, at least digitally, the show must go online, and working with other companies, especially over like a Zoom medium, a digital medium, really is a wonderful experience because it's still a new medium that we're working with. It's only a year and some odd old.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to like, it's not just about learning, but like developing that craft and developing the medium as it in and of itself. With each person somebody works with, there's a new idea, there's a new way to do something. And it's exciting to watch it kind of just grow. So yes, absolutely. I agree with Christine. It's working with everyone and working with people to just kind of go, wow, I didn't think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go a step further? And it's that group excitement of everyone going, oh, look at this thing, look at this new thing. It's really fun. It's really cool. Let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're working with people that we never would have or may never have worked with in our lives. We're working with people on the other side of the world, or people who's just like to the south of the border. And it's really cool like that. In terms of like personal inspirations, I mean, like I take a little bit of something of everyone I see and everyone I meet, but I always got to go back to my like drama teachers, Miss McKay and Miss Williamson, because those were the two that like really kind of gave me that nudge. Just like, give it a try. You might like it. All right, cool.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear. Like, I think teachers sometimes don't realize the power that they have of influence over young minds, and and to hear you talk about like that developmental piece as well with digital theater right now. Essentially, like you're helping to build theater history right now, and
absolutely,
it's really cool to see.
It's exciting. Absolutely, I agree. Yes.
Definitely.
So what brought you to Fringe North this year, and why did you choose to get involved with our particular festival?
I mean, I think for us, we've always just been looking to what's the next step, right? With each production we put out, we got better, we improved. First we ran out of Zoom, then we found OBS, so we started bringing OBS into it, and then we started to find different aspects of OBS we can use, so we started to bring in more aspects. So I think for us, we just always want to grow and learn, and what's the next step, what's the next thing for us. So networking is always a big one for me, because I said everything I do is everything I take is learning from experiences that I have. So networking and learning from others is huge. We wanted to be involved with something bigger. We've been this little bubble in our little thing, doing our little thing, but we wanted to be a part of something that was bigger, that was more. So that was important to us as well.
And it like you said, it's that natural step for us, and it's that opportunity to go, wow, there are other people who are doing this, and there's this big gathering of these creatives almost doing the same thing as we are. Ooh, let's go. Let's be a part of it. Let's see what happens. And that's the fun, right? Is seeing other people. I keep talking about other people because other people are cool.
Yeah, and it's such an important part of like the co-collaboration and like co-creation that is art.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So what has been challenging for using the digital space compared to when you're able to have like on stage? And I know that you've talked a lot about, I guess, focusing on its strengths would be a good way of saying it, and focusing on what is possible in the digital realm. So how have you approached that in terms of, like, I just think of for myself when I'm creating art, sometimes it's like frustrating to learn new things too in that sense, right? So not just what works for the production company as a whole, but like as an individual artist, you're sort of approaching it differently yourselves too, I would imagine. So what has been difficult about that part?
I mean, I think again, coming from like a theater where you're standing on stage and you're seen as a whole body with a voice and like able to move in 3 dimensions, and then all of a sudden being reduced to most of the time like a torso and a head. That's that's kind of just moving in a 2-dimensional area. It feels initially very like, it feels limiting. It feels like we have all these tools that we've been taught and that we've honed, and all of a sudden they've been taken away from us. But the nice thing about overcoming those is that we may not be able to use this set of tools, but now we can create others. We can find out, all right, I have this box. What can I do in this box that I can't necessarily do on stage, or that I now have the ability to do? Oh, I can make an exit. I can exit from downstage. I don't need a trap door that I may or may not have. I can go off to the side and then reappear from the other side. It's that idea of like, all right, I have constraints maybe, but I also have opportunities to do something that I couldn't do before. And I think that's kind of how like we look at like a Zoom performance or a digital theater performance, is like, what avenues do we have now? Not necessarily just to compensate, but that we didn't have on a stage. And I think that for me, at the very least, that's kind of like how it's kind of been to readjust to digital theater. Again, it all comes back to like, don't be afraid to play.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Christine?
Yeah, just along the similar lines, it allows you to play in a different way. So where, for one of our last, productions, we was sort of a gangster kind of thing. So there was murders and there was restraining people like that. And how do we get that across? And actually what we were able to find is by getting right up into the camera and using the camera angles and stuff, we could make some really powerful moments, which you might not be able to get if you're watching it on a stage over there, versus somebody being restrained right here in front of you, right, full on screen, is way different. And even though it's the person is restraining themselves, you don't know that as the audience, because we've played around with how do we get them to make it look like they're being restrained by someone else.
And it definitely sorry, go on.
It's just that ability to play. I was just sort of repeating that.
Oh yeah, and it's also, think of it like cinematography almost now. It becomes that like hybrid of theater and cinema, where it's a camera, but we can manipulate the camera. It's not a guy behind and kind of filming everything we do. It's us going, all right, now I get to interact with it. I get to lift it. I get to shake it around. So it's that kind of like adding film into theater and making this weird kind of mush that like is like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's that's good.
Yeah, it's like the unique amalgamation of the two and bringing them together. Yeah, you touched on one thing that I do have like a follow-up question on, would be like the fact that on camera you're often just like the torso and the head, and there's no, like, I'm wondering in terms of body language, because so much of theater is about body language as well, right? So that really shifts when you only have like half of your body language. So how has that been something to kind of adjust to or to use as an advantage?
May I speak to that one?
Go for it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, for me, and I again, this is kind of just like at least my personal view. Christine may have have her own opinions on that one, but it's again playing with that like idea, like, all right, I don't have my body to express, but at the very least, I have my face, I have my hands, I have how far I am away from the camera, how close I get. If I get really up close to that lends a different effect. So I may not have my like lower half, but I still have like these different avenues and these like different abilities, because like as Christine touched on, I on a stage, I can't get like up and close to the guy in the back row, but I can definitely do that to every single person who's watching me now. And like now you have a different way of expressing yourself that isn't maybe physical, but still involves physical, like, or sorry, it doesn't involve body language, but definitely is physical. There is something that you can still do, and there are ways to move that, again, you couldn't do on stage, but now you have that ability with the camera. And although you do lose a little bit of like that feeling of power that you have with like your two legs and being able to like stomp around and stuff like that, you can still add that effect in somehow. You can still manipulate your camera and the way you are on the screen to give that effect. At least that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, you made some really great points. That's really unique. Christine, do you have anything to add to that, or?
The main thing that I was going to point on was the use of space. So as Andrew talked about, the distance from the camera and being able to, like, I'm walking off the camera through mud, you know, and just sort of using that space, and figuring out ways to go close, far, and how to address those. So I think, yeah, the space is a big one for me, because we're actors, we're going to use our faces, we're going to use our bodies anyway. The big difference was that use of getting how close to the camera, how far away from the camera. So I find that the space is a big one.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything that you're hoping festival goers will get from your piece this year, and what are you hoping for them to take away with them?
Well, I mean, of course, we are always hoping to entertain. That's our first and foremost our goal. But we, of course, want them to be moved. We want them to laugh. I can only hope that we can inspire somebody else, like The Show Must Go Online inspired me, because like I said, we wouldn't be here today, and We All Shine wouldn't it be 4 productions in, plus live festivals and pre-recorded festivals, if I hadn't seen The Show Must Go Online and been inspired by what they did and went, wow, that's so cool. How did they do that? So if somebody else sees what we did and went, hey, maybe I'm going to bring that into my on stage thing. Maybe somebody sees the comedian and is like, oh, you know what, that gives me an idea. Maybe I want to do something. Or somebody hears the song and is moved by the song and it inspires them to do something. If we can inspire people to continue to create, to continue to share art, that's my number one.
That's awesome. So as artists being involved in the space this year, what are you hoping to gain from being a part of the festival?
Oof. Again, for me, this is kind of, I'm starting to sound like a broken record at this point. But I'm just excited to see what everyone else has, what everyone else brings to the table, and just kind of like where everyone has taken this new piece of artistic medium.
Yeah.
And for me, it's always about like, or at least with regards to digital theater, what's the next step in its evolution? And, you know, with that big thing, I kind of hope that like with Fringe North, I hope to like see those next steps, at least the beginnings, that little next step, that big next step, and then watching it all grow. And that's probably the most satisfying thing that I hope to take away from it.
I'm not sure I could say it any better than Andrew said it. He pretty much summed up everything that I would have said.
That's great. So we are running out of time. So is there anything else that you wanted to share with viewers or wanted them to know about your piece or you as artists?
I mean, just if they wanted to check us out online at www.weallshineproductions.com, they can find access to our past productions, which are up there for free. So there's some other free shows that they can check out and see what we're about if they're interested.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
come check out the show. That's the takeaway message. Come check out the show.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
All right, so thank you so much for coming on, and we really appreciate having you here on our podcast. And thank you to our viewers as well, and for taking the time to listen in on the podcast today. You can come out to our festival, which is running August 19th to the 22nd. Buy a ticket, come out and support Christine and Andrew. And yeah, we're just really excited for the festival this year. So thank you for watching, and miigwech, merci, and gracias for being part of our podcast today. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you for watching our podcast. Merci, miigwech, gracias. If you like what we're doing, you can support Fringe North and the artists involved in this year's festival financially, so that we can continue this work. Visit www.fringenorth.ca to find out more.